Brittany, tell us your favorite story of the Little Lighthouse.
Favorite story. Okay. You said only 90 seconds, not 90 days. Okay. 90 seconds. When I first started at Little Lighthouse, I was working as a physical therapist. That's my background. And I had one class of students. They were all working on walking. So they were all like, 2, 3 years old, also working on walking. And every day for their gym time, I would load up all of their walkers in my hand and carry them down to their classroom. And I would just set their walkers up down the hallway. And then I would get them and we would line them all up. And then they would just take off in their walkers down the hall. And it was just my favorite part of the day to like see these 6 or 7 kids just all working so hard on walking. And then by Christmas, they were all walking independently. So that was a really big win and a great thing to celebrate. But it was also a little bittersweet because I missed them putting out their walkers and seeing them walking down the hall every day. So that's my favorite memory. And it's from my very first year. And there have been many happy stories since then. But that one's always at the top of my mind.
Yeah, I will say, I can just imagine these little humans walking, and then one
just the biggest smiles on their faces, kind of racing each other,
And then probably when somebody could do it without the walker, then that motivated and turned on.
Yes, it was kind of just one after the other. They just all figured it out, and then there was no stopping them.
Yeah, and they're probably still going.
Yes, they are.
I'm so excited to have Brittany Gartner with us to talk about the Little Lighthouse. Now, this thing has been in Midtown Tulsa for a long time, but it's been amazing to see the way that it's grown. And she tells the story of the Little Lighthouse and just the difference it's making in families and just the extraordinary care that they've had over the decades for families who have individuals with special needs, and how they provided just tangible hope and also kind of a long-term future for kids and their families. So we're excited about that. This is my conversation with Brittany. So for somebody who doesn't know anything about the Little Lighthouse, what is the Little Lighthouse? And just kind of give us a little bit of the history of how this thing came to be.
Okay, great. Well, Little Lighthouse is a Christian developmental center for children with special needs. We serve kids birth to 6. We provide special education services and therapeutic services in this like classroom developmental center setup.
Got it.
And we have a couple of different programs. We serve these kids and their families in a couple of different ways. But we've been doing this for 53 years almost. We were founded in 1972. Our founder, Marcia Mitchell, and a good friend of hers, Cheryl Poole, they both had little girls with visual impairments. And there were no services in Tulsa for their girls at the time. And they were taking their girls back and forth to Oklahoma City twice a week, getting services. They visited people all over Tulsa trying to get someone to create services for their kids. And one pediatrician finally looked at them and said, "Ladies, if you need this school, you're just going to have to build it yourselves." And so with some hesitancy, Marcia would tell you they did just that. And they really just relied on God to provide everything that they needed to open the doors. And we've really been doing that for 53 years. So we provide all of our services tuition free. Our families don't pay anything for our services. And we have an almost $6.3 million budget this year. And that is all provided through donations, fundraisers, grants that we apply for, organizations and foundations that donate to us. We don't accept any United Way funding. We don't take any, government funding through like public school or anything like that. So we are just purely funded on donations and our community and God's provisions.
So $6.3 million. And how many, so you said kind of birth through 6.
Yeah.
How many students are you all serving kind of, at a typical time?
Yeah, we serve a maximum of 250 at a time in all of our different programs. So we have our full-time program, which is the Developmental Center. So that's a full day program, Monday through Thursday. And we're serving about 96 kids in that program at one time. And then we have our Family Learning Center, which is our part-time program. And that is for It started out for kids just on our wait list, but now we've kind of opened it up to anybody who wants to participate in this program. And this is, like I said, a part-time program where a caregiver and their child come to class together.
Okay.
So they'll come one time a week for 2 hours. And that's really a time for us to build community with families.
Yeah.
So they get to be in class with other families who are walking the same journey as them. We really provide lots of resources for the families. We provide them with lots of, hey, this is how you can play with your kiddo at home. This is how you can carry over what we're doing at school into your home life. They do a lot of field trips where they take their families to parks or the zoo or other places in Tulsa just to help them know these are the kinds of things that are available to your child. These are the parks and things that are accessible for your kids. This is how you can safely take them.
Okay.
We have a lot of families who say, I never take my kids anywhere because I'm afraid to. I'm afraid they'll run away. I'm afraid they won't be accepted. I don't really know what to do with them when I get there. And so our Family Learning Center program team, they really just work hard, really just helping these families like find joy in their child.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we just launched a brand new program the last week. Yes, called the Mobile Classroom.
Okay.
So we bought a truck and a big camping trailer, and we retrofitted this camping trailer to make it into a classroom.
Okay.
So we have, a circle time setup and a table time setup. We have a sensory room in the trailer. And we are currently serving families on our wait list in North Tulsa with that mobile classroom. So we just had our first class last week.
Okay.
And currently our schedule is we're serving 4 families for a 6-week semester in North Tulsa. And then in the winter, we'll serve another group of students. And then in the spring, we'll serve another group. And then our hope is to eventually be able to take that truck and trailer all over Oklahoma. We have people on our wait list all over the state, in some rural areas. We have some, in all different areas of Tulsa. So we would love to just be able to take our services to them.
Yeah.
And just be able to provide services to them. We have over 500 students on our wait list. So it's a really big need. And so we just know that we can serve more students if we're able to go to them.
So that wait list for both the family program and the full-time program, or is that just the
Yes.
full-time?
For the full-time program, I checked a few days ago, it was like 475 on our Developmental Center wait list. And then we have about 100 on our Family Learning Center wait list.
Correct.
And then we have a wait list for Oklahoma City because we are expanding into Oklahoma City. Early 2026, we'll be opening our Oklahoma City location.
Where's Oklahoma City?
Well, that's still in the works. That's why I say early 2026 because we don't have an exact open date yet. We're still working on finalizing building stuff. But yeah, so we'll be serving kids in Oklahoma City starting early next year, which was really exciting.
Yeah, no, that is, I have so many questions, but, and aren't you all in Mississippi too? Is that right?
Yes, we do have 2 affiliate locations. Okay. So we have one in Mississippi and one in Kentucky. They operate fully on their own. So they're their own 501c3. They have their own board. They have their own, leadership and everything. We just provide our curriculum. We provide our branding. We do provide some like training and resources to them, but they function fully on their own. But Oklahoma City will be a branch of Tulsa. So it will be our same board, our same leadership team, our same funding. That's why our budget grew from about $4 million to now up to that $6.3 billion with our expansion into Oklahoma City.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so before I was here, I was a pastor in Mustang, and we actually came up to visit the little lighthouse because at church, they just had a ministry. You kind of look out at the congregation, you're just like, okay, there are families who have individuals with special needs.
Yeah.
Like God's doing something there. So it's like, and so we came to learn a little bit and just to kind of see. So, but yeah, we looked around the Oklahoma City area. There really was like, there are some good things down there, but it's like there wasn't anything quite like what you all do at the Little Lighthouse. So I'm going to zoom in on the full-time program. Okay. Because when children with special needs, and that is a wide spectrum. So like if I was to go into a typical classroom, and I know there's no typical. Yeah. So what I remember when I went on tour is like different ages, different the diagnosis, right? So like kind of physical. So just tell take me to a normal classroom.
Okay.
What might I see?
Yes, well, you are correct. We don't place our students in classrooms by age or diagnosis. So every classroom kind of has a variety. We really place our students based on the goals that they're working on. So each classroom will have like an overarching goal. So, one classroom might have a goal of this is just our introduction to school. This is, we're learning routines, we're learning some self-help skills, we're learning to sit in a chair, we're learning to be away from our mom and dad for the first time. Two, we have, some of our older classes, it's like we are working on pre-K readiness. When these kids leave this classroom, they are ready for kindergarten. We're working on handwriting and sight words and all of that kind of thing. So you were right in that regard. But yeah, we really serve a wide variety of students. So I would say some of our biggest population of diagnoses are Down syndrome, cerebral palsy. We have a wide variety of just different like chromosomal genetic conditions that really those could be a wide variety of things. And then we have our wait list specifically is about 70% autism or suspected autism. And that number just keeps growing and growing and growing. We do have some students who would have like a dual diagnosis, like they have another diagnosis along with autism. So we have students who don't have a diagnosis. You don't have to have a diagnosis to be served by us. You just have to have a need and be appropriate for our program. So we'll screen all of our kids before they come in just to make sure they fit our program and that we can meet their needs. And, the whatever program they're in currently is not already serving them and meeting their needs. So no diagnosis required, just have a need that could be met by one of our programs.
Okay. So then I mean, Monday through Thursday, full-time school, get there at 8:39, whatever.
Yep.
Leave at 2:33,
Yep.
whatever, that kind of thing. Lunch, all the whole day.
Yes.
And then I'm assuming just specific services, physical therapy, right? Speech therapy if ever be needed.
Yep.
Probably other things
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have something very unique to Little Lighthouse is we operate with a transdisciplinary model.
Okay.
So we do have physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists. We contract with some vision therapists and some reading therapists. And then we have our teachers and associates in the classroom. And really all of those people are working together to help our kids meet their goals. So, if you go to a public school or if you go to a private outpatient clinic, everybody's kind of doing their own thing, kind of staying in their own lane.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher. I'm working on educational goals. I'm a PT. I'm working on, gross motor things. But we really believe that we see the best benefit and the most milestones met when we really all work together. We do cushion therapy. So all of our therapists, instead of pulling individual kids out to do therapy, the therapist will go into the classroom. We do therapy in a group setting. So number one, you're getting lots of peer modeling. All of the kids are getting to watch their friends, follow rules and, learn routines and, work on skills. And so that's really motivating. It's also great for turn taking and,
just good life skills.
Yeah, good life skills. Just being a good friend. Cheering for your friend when they do something good. But then the bigger picture benefit is that the classroom staff gets to really see the kinds of therapy that's being implemented. So they get to see, what goals the kids are working on. They get to see how the therapist is facilitating those skills. They get to see, what visual cues or what verbal cues are they giving to them? What adaptations are they providing so that the kids can meet those goals? And so then the classroom staff is able to carry that out the rest of the day. So they're not just getting therapy for
isolated,
the 30 minutes. Yeah, it's really carried over into the whole rest of the day. And you're right. We have a full school day. We do circle time, we do snack, we do potties, we do lunch, we do outside play, gym time, all of that stuff. And every one of those activities is a learning opportunity for our kids. All of our kids just have different needs and things that they need to work on in all of those areas. And because our therapists are pushing into the classroom and, they are there to help, and our teachers and associates are amazing. I mean, some of them could go off and be therapists without a degree at all because they're just so smart and they're so in tune with our kids. And they're just able to carry out the therapeutic services that we're providing all day long. So it's really cool.
Like how many staff on a typical day do you all have?
Well, we have 10 special education teachers in our full-time program. I'm still talking about them. So every class has one special education certified teacher. And then every classroom has a full-time associate and a part-time associate. And then there's a floater that kind of goes between two classes.
Okay.
And then we have two PTs, two OTs, three speech therapists. We just hired another one. And then we have a physical therapy assistant and a certified occupational therapy assistant.
Okay. And about how big is a typical class? How many students?
10. We had 10 students. Yep. So we have 9 Little Lighthouse students with disability. And then we have 1 staff child in each classroom, which is also a really cool and unique part of our program. So we do kind of a reverse inclusion program. So again, that staff child is there to be like a typical peer model, just to model, age appropriate behaviors and milestones and things like that. And they, really take the opportunity to really model those age appropriate behaviors sometimes. We're like, wow, do we really want all of our kids knowing this? But yes, of course you do. So it's age appropriate and it's typical and just part of development. But all 3 of our kids have gotten to be part of that program. So it's really special for the staff as well, just for our kids to, these are just their friends, they just know these kids as any other kid. They wrestle and make jokes and fight and, they love these kids just like any other kid, which is what you want.
Plus, I'd be curious, just 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 20, 30 years down the road, right? Just being able to be in that environment and just see it, and just be comfortable with it. Cause I remember like when I was at school, it's like there was, they were on the other side of the school, you'd see them at lunch, hear them make weird noises, something would go on. And I would and there was this there was a distance, there was an otherness that wasn't good or healthy. And but it wasn't until later that I was like, oh, this is, just that being around. So what a great gift that is.
It really is.
So yeah, you're curious to see what 10 years down the road. Oh, what are they doing now? Learn from that. So full time. I just this may be just a difficult question, but I would imagine there's a lot of grief in this, that there are some just diagnoses that their life expectancy may not be very long, or a medical issue, and there's they've taken some steps forward, but then something has happened medically. So just like emotionally, how do you all manage the grief that just comes with working with the vulnerable that you're working with?
We definitely see a lot of parents come in. They are still, walking their grief journey, especially in our part-time family learning center. We have some babies that start in that program, pretty soon out, 6 weeks old. We've had as young as, 6 weeks old starting in that program. And especially on that side, those diagnoses are really fresh.
Okay.
They are really just coming right off of, getting diagnosed at birth. Sometimes didn't even know that there was a diagnosis to be had.
Yeah.
So we do see a lot of families that come in, and it's just, I think the hope that we have in Jesus and the hope that we get to share with our families. Like we are a Christian Developmental Center. We pray. We tell these families, like, we rely on God. We pray so that the Holy Spirit will help us to take care of your kids. And we really just get to provide that hope to our families. We have families of all different faiths, all different beliefs. And, we welcome everyone and we love everyone the same. And we have had some pretty radical family transformations, just people who come in, they're just very hardened, very closed off. They're dealing with their grief and, through anger or through just being, totally shut down, totally not wanting anyone to be in their space, not wanting to let anyone in. And then those families graduate and they're the ones, hugging us as they're walking out the door, like, please let us stay longer. We just see so many hearts just opened up and just walls come down and relationships that are formed. And I truly just believe when you walk into Little Lighthouse, you can feel God there. He's in everything. Obviously he's everywhere with us all the time, but we invite him into every part of our school. Our staff starts our day all together in like a prayer and devotional time. So we start every day with prayer, just inviting God into what we're doing. And I think that people can really feel that, even if they don't recognize that that's what it is that they're doing. And so I think that's how we do what we do is we let God work through us. And I always say my favorite thing about working at Little Lighthouse is that we have this hope and we get to share this hope with our families. And I think they really can like grasp it and really take that hope on for themselves. But then they don't have to leave the hope with us. They get to take it with them when they go, because they get to take Jesus with them when they leave Little Lighthouse, and then they get to share it with someone else, and so it's just a really cool thing. But I think that's how we do what we do. I think every person that's at Little Lighthouse feels unequivocally called there. And, we are there because we feel like that is where God has led us. And we all love these kids like they're our own. And I think we really just rely on the hope of Jesus and the Holy Spirit to guide us. And he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and that is where we want to be. It's just right there where the people are hurting it. And then, hope. And sometimes it's a slow burn, but it's a burn, and it really does enable life to happen. And I think of you walk into a place, and I can only imagine. So just practically for me, if I was, I found out somebody was pregnant, they found out that their child had something. What could I do, or what could somebody do to just walk alongside them? What are the things not to say? What are the things, what's helpful? What could I do to be helpful?
I mean, I think the most helpful thing is just letting them feel whatever they need to feel. There is a cleansing power and being able to walk through those stages of grief. And, I think there are very well-intentioned things that people say, oh, this was, it was meant to be, or, whatever it is. I think the best thing is just not trying to take someone out of their cycle of grief or rush them through it. I think the best thing you can do is just sit with them as they walk through that cycle of grief. But then if you can get them plugged into some kind of community that has resources for them, that's really the best thing to do. And, we have resources at Little Lighthouse, and then there are so many other resources too, depending on what the diagnosis is. If it were Down syndrome, like we have an amazing DSAP program, which is like the Down Syndrome Association of Tulsa here, and they have an amazing community. And, different diagnoses would have, different communities that they could get plugged into. But I would say just, sitting with them and allowing them to feel what they need to feel, and then also helping them to get plugged into resources as they are, able to accept that and move forward in that.
Yeah, I mean, because I know, sometimes people, because other people are sad, right, or upset, or frustrated, or confused, or whatever, and then the person they've had the same conversation, they end up consoling the other person. That's not what it's about. So just be there. I've said before, sometimes my best pastoral advice to people is sit down and shut up.
That's great advice.
So I'm careful how I say that, but that's
and even us as professionals, I think the tendency that we have sometimes is like, oh, let me help you fix this problem, but it's not really, getting a diagnosis for your child is not a problem to fix. It's really just something that, for whatever reason, this is what God called you to, and, he'll equip you through it, and it will, not that it won't be hard or that you won't have trials or you won't continue to, experience different cycles of grief as you go. But I just think, that's our tendency as professionals. And I think just as humans, is let's fix this problem. And I think just changing your mindset to like, this is not a problem to be fixed. This is, a person to be loved is, a good way to think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just, I mean, I would imagine, those wraparound cares. Cause I do, again, when I was in Mustang, we have these families, and just listening to them, I mean, the loneliness. I mean, we did a special church service because it was like, people didn't want to come to church because their kid would make a noise, or, there was this one young lady, she would just while I was preaching, she'd be just like, I love you. And it's just like, well, that's the sweetest thing in the world. But I could understand why mom would be like, that uncomfortable. But yeah, we wanted to create those spaces where they could just come and be whatever was needed, to participate, find different ways.
Well, and I'll tell you, that is really a gem, because what we hear from our families time and time again is we can't go to church because they won't accept us there.
Yeah.
They won't provide childcare for our kids. So, we're sitting in the back and constantly taking them in and out, or we're having to leave service early because, the service is too overwhelming for my kids. And so we actually do provide church training.
Okay.
We have church conference twice a year where we provide training to churches. We can come into a church and help, set up a space, help train volunteers, whatever it is that we need to do to help churches have programs for these kids so that these families can go to church, because that's a huge thing that our families are missing, because they feel like they can't go to church, or they have flat out been told by churches, like, you can't come here because we don't have the resources for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, how discouraging does that feel?
Yeah.
To go to a church that should be your safe place in your community and flat out being told,
you're not welcome here.
We don't have anything for you here.
Yeah. And I mean, it's hard work, but it's worthy work, right? I mean, it's worth the thing. And I do think, that training, I think, is so necessary because, I mean, just dealing with kids who are typical.
Yes.
There are things to know and not to know.
Yeah.
And
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, and I would, I'm not going to be changing out a tube, that, there's these fears of like, oh, what about changing out? No, that's
yes. We do not train you to do that.
But yeah, I think that would, I think, be a really good question for all of our churches, for this church. But just, okay, what are the steps we need to do, and what's God telling you? How can we meet people where they are and have buddies and all sorts of other things? So, okay, so you do that twice a year.
Yes, we do the conferences twice a year. They're free.
Okay.
You can find information about those on our website, and then, like I said, you could reach out to us anytime, and we can provide resources. We actually have a free online, we call it the Academy. It's just our free online training service.
Yeah.
And we have lots of different trainings on there about different diagnoses, about, who is the child with special needs, and kind of just going through like really basic information. We have a class on there about setting up a classroom, but we also have a church training class on there, and it's free also. So you can watch it individually, or you can have, a whole group watch it. And then, like I said, we're always happy to come out to churches and, help them like set up their space or train volunteers or whatever the need may be. We are always willing to help churches who recognize that there's and recognize that they are not equipped to meet that need, and be ready and willing to, to learn and do something about it.
Yeah. Well, I think it is just such a spiritual need, physical. I mean, and even just that, again, it's all about, community. I'm thinking about what I've been hearing from the people who work with the unhoused in our community, and they're like, surround them with a support system. And it's like, that is really, like surrounded with the Spirit and a support system. And that's like the secret sauce, like it really is. Cause like you said, can't fix the problem, right? Just being there, is a really good thing. So, all right, going back. So full-time program. And so now you said you have 475 kids on your wait list.
Yes.
It's birth through 6.
Yes.
I mean, that just feels like, I know about 10 years ago they expanded?
Yes. Yeah, it has been, because I've been at Little Lighthouse. This is my 10th school year, and I started the year that we opened up our big new building. So yeah, this is our 10th school year in our big building.
Okay. Because I literally lived 10 years ago at the house that's right behind the Little House. We should have a fence right there on 36th Street. So that house, I lived right there. So that it was great, because when that parking lot came in, that is where my boys learned to ride his bikes. So it was about 10 years ago. I okay, that's how all that kind of, how that worked in my mind. Like, that is, I mean, it's encouraging what you all do, and I appreciate the way you all are finding a way to provide things. But like, what is our community like? What's next? Like, what does the community need? I mean, the need is just high, and you particularly mentioned autism. That just seems to be so much better known. I don't know if better understood is the right word.
Yes.
I mean, every autism I know is, I mean, it's a spectrum. There's all sorts of things that that means. So what is Tulsa? What's next for the city of Tulsa for these families with special needs? What's next for the Little Lighthouse? I mean, what can we do?
Yeah, as far as Little Lighthouse goes, we are always analyzing our wait list. We're always looking at, where are these kids located? How old are these kids? What are the diagnoses that we have on our wait list, and just trying to figure out ways to better serve the trends that we're seeing on the wait list, because they do ebb and flow and change. And, right now our greatest need is serving these kids with autism. Because unfortunately, what happens with these kids is they aren't diagnosed until much later, sometimes 2, 3, 4, even beyond that. And so they aren't getting on the wait list until they're older. Whereas a kiddo with Down syndrome, sometimes they know that before they're even born. So we have babies who are not even born yet on the wait list. So you can see how the time that they're waiting and the age that they're getting in is going to be very different for those two diagnoses. So we were really seeing the trend of, we have so many kids with autism who are either aging out before they ever even receive any services from us, or they aren't getting in until they're 5 years old. They only have 1 year at Little Lighthouse. They've never successfully been in any other program because their schools don't know how to serve them, or their parents are too afraid to send them to a school program. And so they have not been in any kind of program. So it's very hard for them to transition into our program at 5 years old.
Yeah.
And, we do a great job of, really giving every kiddo individualized services, and we can pretty much crack just about every code, and figure out what works best for those kids. But then by the time we finally we finally figured you out, then it's time for them to graduate and move on to the next school. And so actually last year we just started, piloting an autism classroom. So this is our first and only class that we do place them by age and diagnosis. So this classroom is specifically for children who have at least 2 years that they can attend Little Lighthouse. So they're usually 4. And they have participated in our Family Learning Center before. And that's really just so we know the parents are bought in. We know that they know us, and they know these people really love and care about our kids. And then they have to have an autism or suspected autism diagnosis. And so the idea was to create a smaller environment, really tailored specifically to their needs, really help them come in, get acclimated to school, us really figure out what supports work best for them. And then their second year, we can put them in a different classroom, a bigger classroom with more kids where they're on a more typical schedule. And that transition is a lot easier for them than just coming straight in off the wait list, never having been in a program before, and us trying to figure them out. And so this year is our first year for those students who were in that class last year to transition into our other classrooms. And it has been a beautiful transition. They have all done so well. And so now we have our second group of kiddos starting in that classroom. And so that was really cool for us to see, because we have thought about, should we, buy another building and, create an autism center, or add more classrooms to our building? What is the best way for us to serve kids? Because the need is so great, and the need will always be there. There will always be more and more and more kids that, can benefit from our services. But what we've realized from doing that class is we really are providing services in the way that works well for them. We just got to figure out how we can serve more of them. And so that's kind of how our mobile classroom, we're serving specifically kids with autism right now, and we're serving them geographically right now. So we're serving kids that have North Tulsa zip codes right now, but they have an autism diagnosis between the ages of 2 and 4. So that's how we are assessing the new programs that we create and, the way that we provide services. As far as how other people can get involved, I think just finding programs that serve these families and just learning more about the programs, being able to provide resources to families that you come in contact with, because I guarantee you that there's someone in your circle who has a child with a disability, or has a child, with different learning differences, or some kind of neurotypical or neurodivergent, behaviors, like, someone who falls into one of those categories. So just being familiar with resources so that you can kind of help bridge that gap between, they have nothing and them finding a community.
Yeah.
And then, even, volunteering or donating to these programs that, are providing, really good high quality services. I mean, I know, like I said, Little Lighthouse, we have a $6+ million budget, and we need people's donations so that we can continue to create new programs and serve these kids and provide all of these quality services free of charge to the families, because we don't ever want our services to be a burden, a financial burden, especially to these families who already have so many other challenges and burdens to worry about. We want them to be able to come and at least receive our services without having to worry about, how am I going to pay for this? Or, what do I have to give up in order to afford to pay for these services?
And I will say, that got me thinking of just like the hidden cost of a child with special needs, right? That might be a vehicle. I mean, I'm sure just different furniture might be. I mean, there's probably just all sorts of stuff for special diets, therapies, traveling to specialists, wherever that might be.
And that's a big one, because Tulsa really doesn't have a ton of pediatric specialists. So a lot of our families are traveling to Dallas, to St. Louis, to Kansas City, different places. So that's definitely a big cost also.
So what you guys are doing is it's just a great gift. Now, you said volunteers. So what do volunteers do at the Little Lighthouse? What are ways people could get?
Well, we thrive on the volunteers. So we have volunteers who are in the classrooms every day.
Okay.
They are, just helping the extra hands, helping during feeding times, helping to, like I said earlier, all of the things that we do throughout the kiddos' day, is very intentional. We rarely just have time where it's like, oh, we're not doing any learning right now. And so our volunteers really just come alongside our staff to just help make sure that all of those times of day are intentional and make sure that kiddos are able to participate. So that's something really big that we do at Little Lighthouse, is we make sure every single child can participate in whatever that looks like. So if we need to provide assistive technology, if you need to adapt the lesson for them, whatever that looks like, you will never come into one of our classrooms and see a kiddo just sitting there not doing anything.
Yeah.
There will be someone with them who's helping them participate, or they will have some kind of assistive tech to help them participate. So we love our volunteers. We have, I'm thinking of two volunteers who come together once a week, and they've been coming every day to the same class together for 15 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, we have some really dedicated volunteers who come. We also have volunteers who will come and help, pull weeds from our flower beds, or, help do maintenance projects for things that we need. So it doesn't always have to be in the classroom.
Okay.
We have all kinds of needs that we can get people plugged into, but we have to have volunteers to do what we do, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So if somebody's interested, they can just go to the website, volunteer, get it pretty easily. And it does, that relationship and just the purpose that comes with people doing that. So, okay, we've got the 90 students there. You've got this. And what it sounds like to me is that this was first kind of that. And then it was like, okay, we've got this big wait list. We need an intermediate step.
Yep.
And then the mobile, we need to go to them.
Yep.
And that all makes a lot of sense. And so these families, I'm just kind of curious. So 6 years old, a lot of them, I'm assuming, they go to public schools and do the special education program. I'm assuming you all work with them as best as you can, as best as they can, to be able to say, this is where this kid is at, and this is the way to do that.
Yeah, we have we have our own paperwork that we've developed in-house. So, if you go to a therapy clinic, or if you go into a public school, there is government standardized paperwork and assessments that they have to do. Because we don't accept insurance, we, aren't under any government funding. We don't have to adhere to any of that standardized assessments. So we have our own paperwork that we created. Anywhere else that you go, all of the assessments and paperwork are very deficit focused. Let's identify everything that this kiddo can't do so that we can determine if services are, relevant or, required. At Little Lighthouse, we kind of take the opposite approach. We want to start with what are all the things that this kiddo does really, really well.
Yeah.
Let's identify those so that we can build on them.
Okay.
Because we don't have to justify our services to anyone. We get to decide,
Yeah.
yes, we're going to serve you. Come on in, and this is how we're going to serve you. So we have developed really specific paperwork, and within that includes some really good transition documents so that when kiddos leave our facility and go wherever they're going next, public school, Oklahoma School for the Blind, homeschooling, whatever it is, we can send them with these really detailed documents that kind of show, like, these are all the things that we've tried with this kiddo over the however many years they've been here. And these are the things that we've identified that really work well for them. So that when you're getting this new kiddo, you don't really have to start at square one. You kind of know, like, okay, don't have to try all these things because they already tried them and said they didn't work. I can really just like focus on these things that they already said did work and then just kind of build off of that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are some schools who, do that better than other schools, but we do try to at least provide really good documentation. And at least try our hardest to set the kiddos up for success when they leave the lighthouse.
I'm sure that's a little like when somebody graduates, like joy and like I just hope,
Yes.
and to be able to do that. I've known some different families over time that have had one or they have one now, and just how thankful they are. Now I know, like, so you have your Laps fundraiser.
Yep.
So tell us about what is Mini Laps. I don't remember what it's called.
Yes. Yeah. We have 4 major fundraisers a year. So we're actually kind of in one of our fundraisers right now that's specifically for our staff. So our staff kind of comes together and we do a little back to school campaign. This is a chance for us just to be advocates for Little Lighthouse and kind of be, telling our communities and our circles so we can kind of make our bubble a little bit bigger. So we're doing that right now, but we are also preparing for Laps for Little Ones.
Okay.
So this is a fundraiser that's really specifically geared toward our alumni. So we really want to welcome all of our alumni back, celebrate all the kids who have come through our program and, they've gone on to do great things. So that is kind of it's like a fun run, walk, and then we have a carnival and, we raise money for that.
So is that in October?
Yes, that is in October. And then we have our big fundraiser for our families. It's our family-led fundraiser, which is Mini Laps. I think that's the one we were talking about. And so this one is so fun. Every year we have a big theme. The theme next year is going to be Animal Planet. So, if you come to Little Lighthouse that day, we've transformed the whole front lawn into Animal Planet. All the staff dress up, and then every kiddo gets to dress up in a costume. And they get to take a lap around the track. And we are just reading a script about that kiddo, just really highlighting the great qualities that they have, things that the staff really loves about them, who their best friend is, what they want to be when they grow up, and then celebrate all of the milestones that they have accomplished over the year. We have had so many kids we've been working hard with them all year long to walk, whether that's with a walker or whether it's walking unassisted, and we have kids walk for the first time across the finish line. I remember one kiddo specifically who we had been working on this the whole year, but we hadn't told the mom that we were working on this. So she's standing at the finish line, the staff member is walking with the kiddo, and all of a sudden the staff member kind of steps away, and you can just see the mom's face like, wait, what's happening? And then this kiddo takes these steps to walk across the finish line. And it was just, not a dry eye in that aspect. But that's our big family-led fundraiser. So that's, again, the staff have had a chance to advocate and, expand into our community, and then the families get to do the same. And we find that it's also a really good opportunity for the families to share the story of their kiddo. We have some families who have told us, like, this is really the first time I'm talking to any of my circle about my kiddo. Like we had one mom whose son had a diagnosis of autism, and she was really struggling with getting started with her fundraising. And, we're trying to help her. Like, we can help you write letters. Like, we'll help you start your page. What is it that you need from us? And she was like, I just don't know what to say because I've never told anyone in my circle that he has autism. So this is going to be my first time saying that out loud to the people that I'm closest to. And so it's just a great opportunity for them to get to share about their story and their journey with their kiddo, and then just let the people around them,
Yeah.
come in and support them and love on them. And that fundraiser alone, I think, accounts for 12% of our entire budget. So it's a really big fundraiser. And then we have garden party, and that's in the spring also. And it's a big fun, like, brunch. People wear big hats, kind of like the Kentucky Derby. People dress up. There's a really fun live auction. You get to have a really good meal, hear a speaker. The last 2 years we had Tim Tebow, and then last year his wife Demi Tebow were the speakers at the garden party. So it's just a really fun time for us. Staff gets to dress up too, and we have a lot of our kids come and they get to dress up at school. It's a fun fundraiser also.
Yeah. Okay. So and then I'm just so many, like you said, grants, and then there's just people who like, man, I just believe in this, and this just here's our monthly contribution or end of year contribution or whatever it might be to do that. Well,
I was gonna say, and honestly, those small, consistent contributions are really what make up the bulk of our funding. I think our fundraising person always likes to remind us that I think our average donation is about $150. And so when you're thinking about raising $6.3 million a year, and you're doing it you're building it by brick by $150 donation by $150 donation, that just shows you the amount of people who care enough about us and believe enough in what we're doing to consistently contribute. I think our smallest donation is 5 cents. And we have people who have been donating consistently every month for, 50 years because they believe in us. So really, every dollar does count. Every cent counts. We're building our budget, 1 penny at a time. And so no donation is too small. We really just need people who believe in what we're doing, who, have a little extra that they can spare to help out.
Yeah. Well, and again, I just appreciate, not just the services, but the community. And I think having that alumni come back, because I do think, that's what I've noticed with, that those, when you find somebody who has a sibling, who gets it, right? Who's like, and I know, again, this lady in Mustang, was feeling, I don't even know how, it was just so rare.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like she'd go to this conference, and, like these, it's like, oh, like, it had to be just the most freeing place to being like, I don't have to explain.
Right. I don't have to tell you all the things you already know.
Yeah. And then, I'm a little ahead of you, so I can, watch for this or do this, or, man, you gotta, see this. That's just natural friendships. There are other ways, but especially true in those things. Okay. So let's talk about you a little bit. So,
okay.
So you, 10 years ago, you were, was that your first physical? So tell me just kind of, how'd you physical therapy?
Yeah.
Why'd you choose that?
Ooh, that is because God told me to, honestly. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a speech therapist, speech language pathologist. I had plans to go, I'm from Arkansas, so I had plans to go to the specific school in Arkansas to be part of the speech language pathology program. My mom and I went to visit that school one day. I went to visit the college there, met with like the dean of the college. I had a dorm picked out, like I was ready to go. And that was my senior year of high school. And on the way home from that trip, I just felt in my heart, that is not what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my mom, like, well, Mom, what if I don't do that? And she's like, what do you mean? Like, we just picked out a door. What do you mean? What if I don't do that? And it's like, I just know that's not what I'm supposed to do. So I ended up going to a completely different school. Had no idea why I even chose this other school, because I really didn't know what it was I was supposed to be doing. I just knew I wasn't supposed to be doing that. So I kind of went down the path of a pre-pharmacy degree. I was like, well, I guess I'll be a pharmacist. Then if I can't be a speech and language pathologist, why not do this? And my heart was never really in that. That was never really what I wanted to do. It was just kind of a placeholder to kind of get me, like, I knew I wanted to be something in the medical field. And then my second semester of college, I just kind of woke up one morning and just felt clear as day in my spirit, like, you are going to go to physical therapy school.
Okay.
I had no prior experience with physical therapy. That thought had never crossed my mind. I had never done PT. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, I did PT and I loved it. And that was not my story. Called my mom and I was like, well, guess I'm changed my major to PT. And my mom was probably like, what in the world? So
next month you'll call me with
right. So I changed my major to physical therapy. Ended up, because of that, had to kind of change courses with some of my classes. Ended up being in a class with my professor was a pediatric physical therapist, which I didn't even know that was a thing at the time. She and I ended up becoming really good friends. She kind of ended up being my mentor.
Cool.
I ended up going to PT school at Arkansas State, which is where I did my undergrad, getting my doctorate degree. Just knowing really from the time that I met up with that professor that, okay, obviously pediatrics is what I want to do. And I had spent my whole working career as a high school, college student, doing things that involves kids. And, so I kind of knew that was my path at that point. When I graduated from PT school, I immediately moved to Tulsa. I had done a clinical rotation here at a clinic and they offered me a job. So I moved here. My mom always says it was the worst day because it was her birthday and Mother's Day, the day that I left Arkansas to move to Tulsa. So she never lets me forget that. But I moved here. I started working at the clinic that I had done my internship at and learned so much there. Loved it there. And a lot of my patients were students at Little Lighthouse. Okay. So I knew about Little Lighthouse through them. Okay. Spent a lot of time at Little Lighthouse, always going to mini laps, talking with the physical therapists that were taking care of them at school. Oh, yep. We spent a lot of time talking to them. One of my patients ended up being a staff member at Little Lighthouse. I was treating her baby and she's one of my best friends still to this day. So it was I just kept getting connected with Lighthouse over and over and over. And just knew man, as soon as they have an opening, that's where I want to be. And I didn't know how long I would have to wait for that to happen. I was happy doing what I was doing until that time. And then about 4 years later, after I moved to Tulsa, an opening became available at Little Lighthouse and I've been there ever since. And I've done many, many different things there. I was a PT in the classroom for 5 years. And then I was the director of therapy for 2 years. And then I was the senior director of children and family services. So I was overseeing both the full-time and the part-time program that we talked about. And then now, as of a couple of months ago, I am the senior director of programs and training. Okay. So now that we're expanding into Oklahoma City, we kind of created a headquarters or a central team of people who are supporting both campuses. So I'll be supporting the children's programs at both locations, just making sure that the programs are consistent, that we're, providing the same excellent services at both places, making sure they have the resources they need, making sure they have the training that they need. And then, our team manages the wait list and we're in charge of updating our curriculum. And so lots of great things happening on my team. But so I've gone through many different jobs at our Lighthouse, but it's just where I'm supposed to be right now. Wow. I love it. I love what we do. I love our students. I love our mission. Mm-hmm. It's just a great place to be a part of.
Yeah. So you did know. And I think that's, sometimes we have a clear idea. And other times it's okay, just kind of wait to see.
Yes.
And then do you miss being in the classroom?
I do. So, every time that I've kind of changed jobs a little bit, I feel like I'm kind of one step further removed from, what's happening in the classrooms. And so I do have to be intentional about being in the classroom. So, on Monday of this week, I spent the whole morning in a classroom and got to, use my PT brain a little bit. And then also just got to fill my cup by being surrounded by a bunch of cute kids. So I do still make time to be in the classroom. I find that that's the best way for me to know, what resources do our teachers and therapists need is by being in there and seeing what's happening in the classrooms, but also, you just never have too much kid time. Yeah. So yes, to answer your question, I do miss being in the classroom. I miss direct patient care and I think eventually I will go back to that at some point. But for now, this is where God's calling me. And I learned a long time ago, back when he told me, hey, you're not going to speech and language pathology school. I learned to just say, okay,
Okay.
whatever you have for me, it must be better than what I think I planned for myself. So I learned a long time ago, just say yes and just follow his
Just keep going.
guiding.
Okay. Yeah, no. Well, again, it is my mom, she worked, she was a nutritionist and worked for WIC for many, many years. And then at some point in time, she was in the clinics, and then she became over the clinics. And I was like, and she would always, she would complain. My mom's but she would always get real nervous when the whoever it was, so the regional director would come to watch her in the clinic. And then she became that trip person.
Yes.
But yeah, so yes, I'm just from a leadership perspective, what because you've got this team of people that you are overseeing.
Yep.
With a variety of experiences, variety of situations. What have you found to be just most what has been just what surprised you sitting in your seat and seeing, and helping out these people who, are newer or maybe doing it for a while, or they're just people who have issues?
I think the thing that's most surprising is just how many moving pieces there are to make an organization like Little Lighthouse work. Just to see, we have a staff of, I think our staff is around 90 at this point, but every single person is essential to what we do, and every single person is working so hard in whatever their little area is. And I think sometimes it's really easy to focus on you and how hard your job is and all the things that you're doing and your to-do list, and, just being in your own head and kind of having your blinders on. But I think the more that I have done leadership positions and the more that I've kind of expanded, the programs and things that I'm over, it's just, I have such a clearer picture of how hard everyone is working and how essential everyone truly is. If one person is gone or not there, it really makes a difference. It really affects the organization. And so I think that's like the biggest blessing, and sometimes the biggest curse, but mostly the biggest blessing of being in a leadership position is that you see the whole picture, and that you're supervising people who don't, because that's not their job. Their job is to see their area and to focus on what they're doing. But you see the whole picture, and you see how every person is a different puzzle piece that fits into the big picture. And so I think sometimes it's, that's the blessing, is that you get to see like this really cool thing and how it all like fits together and how it's all coming together. But sometimes that's the curse, is that's like people, they know the information that they need to know for their job. And sometimes people want to know more information. It's like, if you'll just wait, like you're going to see how this is all coming together soon, So that's kind of like the biggest curse is just that, sometimes you can't share the big picture with everyone, or you can try, but they, when they're not in it, they don't really see it. And I'm sure you feel, that way in your position sometimes too, just, you kind of see all the parts and all the people and how it's working together when maybe nobody else does.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there is a difference. Like, okay. I can't tell you that. I would go through that. I can't tell you this, but you're just going to have to just keep going.
You'll just trust me. Soon. You'll see.
You'll see. And the other thing that's interesting, I would imagine too, is, you want the people who believe that what they do is most important, right? The physical therapist, absolutely. I need as much time with this person, or the occupational therapist, or the team. Everybody is like, okay, what I provide is the most important. It might be when I was in college and all the professors thought their class was the most important. I'm like, no. But that's what you want, right? You want these people who just absolutely believe in what they're doing. So yeah. Okay, I had another question, but I had to stop it. Like, so 90 staff. So mathematically, every 4 days, somebody on that team is having the worst day of the year.
Wow.
And so we're dealing with humans.
Yeah, for sure.
And they you talk about, people get sick or, they've got relationship challenges or.
We have a lot of women, so a lot of people going on maternity leave all the time.
Children are a blessing from the Lord and a challenge.
Yes.
Yeah. So then you're just trying to figure this out. And big things and people having these aha moments and some of these discouraging moments. And
it's just always a cycle. You're just helping people through whatever day, they're on, whether it's the best day or the worst day. You're just kind of helping people cycle through that. And I think sometimes there's a misconception, and you may experience this a little bit too, being, the pastor of a church, but being part of like a Christian organization, I think people kind of have the misconception, and it's like, oh, everything's great all the time. And like, you guys get to pray and like love Jesus. So like everything's good all the time. It's like, well, yes, we do get to do all of those things, but we are still human. We all do still have, our full range of emotions, and we all still have free will. And, that sometimes throws a wrench in things. So I think the biggest thing for us is we just always remind ourselves, like, we are here to, like, our mission statement is we're here to glorify God first and foremost by improving the quality of lives of children with special needs, their families and communities. So yes, we're here to provide quality services for our families. We're here to impact our students. We're here to, spread awareness. But our very first priority is to glorify God in whatever that we're doing. So we use that as kind of our guiding star a lot. There could be, 100 great ideas, but which ones are going to glorify God? And then which of those, because there could be multiple, which of those God glorifying ideas are then going to improve the quality of life of our students and our families and communities? So we really do live out our mission statement. I'm sure every business has a mission statement, and, they may or may not know what that is or actually use it, but I feel like we really do try to kind of use that as our filter for just, being on the same page and being a team and working together as much as we can.
Well, it seems like that, what I'm in my role, I could always do more. You could always call the next person. You can always do the next day. Hey, I would imagine one of the hardest things because like you have been over or you are over on the wait list. I mean, I would despise that position. So God bless you in the midst of that, because you are, you're having to make how to help, right? And to have that mission statement and focus it, but everybody needs something. So yeah, how do you just wrestle with that? When you say yes here, you're saying no here. How do you just handle that?
Yeah, it's hard. We have a lot of processes and procedures in place, because when you are in the moment, you have a family calling and saying, hey, like we keep getting kicked out of our public school because my son has severe autism and he can't function in a public school and they don't have any resources for him. Like, I need to get in, but they're number 400 on the wait list. Like it's so hard, because you want to say like, yeah, just come on, come on, we'll sneak you in the back, but you want to do that. But then there are also 474 other kids who, could give you the same story. And so we have a lot of processes and procedures in place to just help us maintain the integrity of our wait list. We want to do things the right way. We want to serve kids in the fairest way possible. And we want to make sure that our services are of the highest quality. And we know that if we throw all of our processes and procedures to the wind and we just start doing things willy-nilly based off our emotions of whatever family is telling us their story that day, we know that impacts the quality of our services. And so we really that's another filter that we use, kind of that quality over quantity. Like, we really just want the students that we have in our hands, like, we want our services to be life-changing for them. And we know even if we serve all 475 kids on our wait list, there are thousands more in Tulsa that aren't on our wait list that also could benefit from our services. So the need is always going to be there. when you start chasing numbers, you can really degrade the quality of your services.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's kind of my job as the person who's kind of, the head of maintaining like our programs and our wait list, is just keeping that at the forefront of our minds. Like, we can't chase the numbers. We can't degrade the quality of our services just to say that we served more people. We really want to serve the people that are in our hands well. And we really do believe, and I swear I've said this. If I've said it once this year, I've said it 10 times. I truly believe that God will bring the people to us in this season that need us right now.
Okay. Yeah.
For whatever, and whatever that means. He knows, I don't. He knows why we're serving these specific 90 kids in our developmental center and not 90 different ones.
Yeah.
He knows who needs our services, and he knows, they all need our services, but he knows the specific plan that he has for every single family. So I just believe that if a family is still waiting this year, I think that it's part of his plan. Like, he has a reason that he's wanting them to wait, whatever that is. And so I just kind of have faith and trust that God will bring the people to us and place the people in our hands that he has for us in this season. And it's our job just to serve them as best as we possibly can.
Yeah. Well, again, I just, in my head, I thought, oh, that would be just something. But making sure, those processes.
Yes. Something you can always fall back on, because there are any wild scenario that you can think of, it's happened. We have come across it, probably stuff you can't even possibly forget.
Sure. Yeah.
Sometimes we're looking at each other like, wow, we couldn't have made this one up if we tried. So just having those processes to always fall back on and say, like, nope, this is what we've decided we're going to do. This is what we've decided is the best way to, work through this wait list. So that's always helpful.
Okay. Yes. Well, again, I really do. The need is so high. And just to be able to do that, to be able to provide that quality, excellent care and just to see the way this has grown over the past 50 some odd years. And the way that it will, obviously going to Oklahoma City, that's a great thing, to be able to just be able to expand. And I think that, sometimes we think I like your perspective on growth is, it's quality, not quantity. And that quality will produce a fruit of, again, what you all did 10 years ago versus 20 years ago versus 30 years ago, that is there. And who knows what just even further ripples will be as you're training churches and training individuals, as you're just kind of going from there. So now you're a mom of 3 kids.
Yes.
So what do I not, what working mom challenges, what's been the best like mom and like work advice you received, or what the practice is really helpful to you?
Goodness. I think, man, that's a good question. I'm not sure if I figured out the best hack yet. We have a really, really great community of people who help us. My family, my mom lives here. Ryan's family lives here, and we really just lean on our support system for help. I'm kind of a person who's self-sufficient and independent, and that's how I was raised. But, just being able to ask for help and be able to delegate and, just lean on the people around you, it really is helpful. And just trying to do it all only burns you out and makes you resentful to other people. And it really, there's no prize for the mom who can do the most without help. So I think just, leaning on the people around you, whether it's family or whether it's church or, whoever it is, just really leaning into those people and letting them help you and support you. Because really it's better for, your kids too. Like, my kids have a great support system of family that they know, like, are always going to be there for them and always love them. And it's not just mom and dad that I have to rely on. Like, I have all these other people who love me and are there to support me too.
Yeah. Well, I think it was like C.S. Lewis, one of his friends passed away. He said, there's a part of me that when my friend passed away that will never live again, because there was a part of me that only came alive when he was around.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing is true, like the grandparents or aunts or uncles. Like, there's something that can be drawn out of I've got my 2 boys are 15, 13. So getting things drawn out is who knows
Yes.
what it looks like. But you know, there is like, yeah, having different grandparents or different people here at church who, you know, there's something, it's like that village again, it's that support system all the way around. And I think you're right. Like there's no prize, you know, the how I can do it, you know, just raw, you know, I want to be super mom.
Yeah.
And you know, like we're all just regular, you know, boss ass, those sort of things. So okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got some rapid fire questions
Oh
for
gosh.
you.
Okay.
So top of mind, and we'll start easy. What is your favorite place to eat in Tulsa?
Oh, any Mexican.
Any Mexican? Anyone? Like, do you have like a go-to standard or just any place?
Really, any Mexican. I will never
Okay.
turn down Mexican food.
Okay. What is something you wish you would have known 10 years ago?
Probably the same thing I just said. There's no prize for the person who does it all themselves. I wasn't a mom 10 years ago, but I was still definitely that same independent. I can do it myself. I got it all. I'll do it all. So I think motherhood humbles you in that way. And honestly, I probably would be a lot less tired if I had learned that a long time ago, that asking for help and letting your support system help you is a good thing.
That's a good thing. Okay. That's good. If somebody's visiting from out of town, where do you take them?
Ooh, Mexican.
Okay. There you go. Yeah.
Any
Mexican place. Yeah. What is something, things from your hometown in Arkansas?
Uh-huh.
What's the name of the hometown?
Newport.
I've never heard.
Very small town in Northeast Arkansas.
Okay. Tell me the most interesting thing about Newport, or a famous person from Newport. What is Newport known for, if they were to be known?
Okay. Well, if you hadn't asked me, there is a famous actress from Newport. I can see her face. Cannot think of her name now that you ask me. She is in, this is the first thing that's coming to my mind. She's in The Proposal.
Okay.
With Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock. She's the mom of Ryan Reynolds in the movie.
I think I may have overseen The Proposal, but I don't really.
Yes, I cannot think of her name. It's going to come to me as I'm driving away from here. But she's from Newport.
Okay.
So anytime I see her in a movie, I'm like, oh, she's from Newport.
She's from Newport. How many people are living?
Oh,
population?
5,000, 6,000. Yeah, it's a really small town.
Okay. If you weren't living here in Tulsa, where would you want to live?
I really do love Tulsa. I probably would live back in Arkansas, where a lot of my family still lives there. So that's probably where I would be. But I would also really love to live by the beach.
Okay.
But that would really be like if I didn't have to work anymore and I could just lay at the beach all the time. Mm-hmm. So
that'd be my life.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's just Kevin Buck and just lay by the beach and just so. Where okay, so we did that on by this stuff from me. What is something something you say regularly? Do you have a favorite saying?
Favorite saying, other than please stop jumping on the furniture to my kids. Oh, let's see. You know, I think something that I say a lot is the answer is always no unless you ask.
Okay.
Yeah. Just, you know, we can just get so stuck in like wondering like what if, and it's like, just ask. Like if you need something or you want something, just ask, because if you don't ask, you'll never know.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, and my kids will tell you, well, sometimes the answer still is not
yes, right. And it might be, and that's okay, and that's a learning opportunity as well.
Yeah. Okay, so besides being humbled by motherhood, what was something that you didn't expect from motherhood?
A good one too. I think, I think that being a parent is so hard, and you can just never prepare yourself fully for being a parent. Our kids are getting older. Our daughter is almost 8, and then we have our middle son is almost 6, and then we have an almost 1-year-old. But the 2 older kids are, especially our daughter, is really entering just a state of hyper awareness about the world. And, she just has a lot of interests, and she is at school now where her friends have a lot of interests, sometimes things that, don't necessarily align with our values and our beliefs. And it's just navigating that world is just like, wow. Like, and we thought that sleepless nights as a newborn was hard. Like, yeah, right. And it's funny because now we're kind of in a dual season. Like, we have a baby who, still struggles to sleep sometimes at night. And we're in this world with our almost 8-year-old. And it's like, of the two, like, which one's harder? Like, definitely parenting an older kiddo and just, helping them develop as a person. And I think it's just the scariest part of being a parent that you really don't think about as much when you're, pregnant or a new parent, is just like, you are shaping a person. You are helping to like develop a person who's going to go out and like be a citizen of the world and contribute things good or bad to the world. And, and it starts at home. Like, they're going to learn how to be a person one way or another, whether it's from you or from the world. And that is a terrifying thought.
Yes. Yeah.
Terrifying.
Well, and I will say again, I have a almost 16-year-old, 13-year-old. And yeah, the problems are different. The opportunities are different, but it is like my 16-year-old's about to go out, my almost 16, he'll drive soon. And it's just like, okay, this is a new level of terrifying.
Right.
And it's, that's like the consequences of your actions are so big, like,
Yes.
what if the 8-year-old, okay, you jump and bump your head off the couch, or you break your arm. Those are terrible things,
Right.
like you wreck your car. It's like
run into someone else.
run into somebody else, but he's good. But
every stage is more terrifying than the last.
Yeah. But then I talk to people, like even like I'm sure our parents are like, we're still terrified for it.
Right.
So that is part of just
Yes.
What did somebody say? Having children is having your heart walk outside your body.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, but a terrible thing.
Yeah.
All right. Is there a TV show you've been watching? If you're to binge something that we need to watch?
We love to binge watch Survivor.
Okay.
So we are big Survivor fans.
Like, have you gone back and watched all the?
Oh yes. Yes.
Okay.
Watched some seasons multiple times. Okay. Yeah, we're big Survivor fans.
Okay.
Big Survivor fans. We also, like silly shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and shows that you can just kind of, that don't add to the burden of your life, but yeah, I would say if anything we were going to sit down and binge, it would be Survivor.
Sure. Yeah. So my wife and I, we've watched most of them. So we're in. We're watching The Amazing Race. Have you watched The Amazing Race?
Yes, I have watched it. Ryan will watch it with me sometimes, but I've watched several seasons of that, and that's pretty fun too.
Yeah,
I always
that's our show right before bed. So
yes, I always tell him we should try to go on one of these shows together.
So man, let's see.
Yeah.
Book. What? Give me two or three books. They can be fiction, nonfiction, but just these are great books.
Two of my favorite books are, one is called The Measure.
Okay.
By Nikki Ehrlich, and it's a really deep, thought-provoking book. Okay. The basic premise is, everyone in the world gets a box on their doorstep, and inside the box is a string, and the length of the string is the length of your life. And you have the option to open the box to see the length of your string, or to, keep it closed and let it be a secret. And so the whole book is kind of about how the world the society kind of unravels with this, because, it's kind of the short stringers, they're unpredictable, or, they can't be trusted, or we can't depend on them for anything there. So it's just a really cool book. It's really thought-provoking to think like, would I open my box? Would I want to see the length of my string or not? So I love that book. And then another one is called Small Great Things.
Okay. And
it is kind of another just really like deep thought feeling book. And it really just highlights kind of systemic racism. Okay. So it kind of follows the journey of this woman who is wrongfully accused of something based on her race.
Okay.
And just kind of follows her journey through navigating that, and just just really showing like how different people in society contribute to those things. And then just it's just it's a really really good thought-provoking book. They're both fiction, but they have a really good storyline. And those are books that I think about a lot. No matter how many books I read, I love to read. no matter how many books I read, I always keep coming back to those two that are kind of my favorite. That I always have the top of my mind.
I'm sad I haven't read those. So
Yeah.
that's good. Did you know Ryan when he ate the big tech? Was it the big
The
Texan?
Big Texan. I did not. So Ryan and I met when I moved to Tulsa.
Okay.
Now, he did the Big Texan when he was in college. So
Okay.
years before we met. I have been with him through a couple of other food challenges, though. So.
Oh, what food challenge?
Yeah.
What has been the most impressive food challenge you've seen?
Maybe I've only seen him do one other one. So he did a pho challenge. So he ate, I think it was 5 pounds, like a bowl of pho in Dallas. And you have to eat like all the noodles and all the toppings and drink all the broth in like, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or something. And he finished it, but just barely, and got a t-shirt and got a great deal
And a stomach.
yes, and a big stomach ache.
I was there when I met Ryan and I learned that. I thought, you don't strike me as the typical competitive eater type.
Yes, I think in another life he could definitely be a competitive eater. He can put away some food for sure.
Yeah.
I always tell him like you should go back sometime and try the Big Texan, and he says that he doesn't think he could do it again. But no, so I didn't know him then. But
Okay. But you've seen him do a food challenge.
Yes.
You love him
Yes.
anyways
I
or
do.
because of it, one way or another.
They'll always finish the food on my plate. He never let me go to base for sure.
Oh, yeah. Right, that makes sense. Do you play any musical instruments?
I do not.
Okay.
I have trouble.
So he plays like no.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And our daughter has started piano and she has started voice, and she's very big into like musical theater and stuff. So she definitely took after him in that regard.
Okay.
Yeah. I definitely appreciate the musical talent though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. My last question, I stole this one from another podcast, but when was the last time you felt most fully loved?
Ooh. Wow. That is a good one. This may or may not sound silly, and I'm sure there's something more insightful that I can come up with, but this was just the thing that came to the top of my mind. Honestly, like we have a baby now, and like having a baby and having a newborn is just like that newborn baby like loves you. They don't care what you look like, what you smell like, when the last time you had a shower, they don't care if you're fashionable or if you gained weight or whatever. They just love you wholeheartedly because you're their person and you're there to take care of them, and they depend on you for everything. So I just feel like, every morning when I walk in to get our baby to feed him, he just greets me with the warmest, just like all consuming love, just like, oh, you're my favorite person in the world. And like, you came back for me, every day you come back for me. And so I often think about like, this must be the way like God feels about us, and I love him unconditionally. The same thing. Like you kept me up all night, but like, I'm so happy to see you anyway, So
That's right.
I think just like motherhood, and especially being the mom of, a little innocent tiny baby, just makes you feel so loved because they love you no matter what.
Yeah. So excited to see. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
This was great. So
I hope it was helpful.
it was.
Useful.
Yeah. And I think, so people can go on the website, Little Lighthouse. There's videos, there's trainings, there's 100 different things.
Yes. There's so many resources on our website.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we will, and I need to go back up and make a trip, not just in the park.
Yeah, we would love to have you guys. We have a community luncheon every month.
Okay.
So we would love to have.
Is that that's on a regular pattern, right?
Yeah, every month. It doesn't necessarily follow like it's always on a Wednesday, but it doesn't necessarily follow like the first Wednesday of every month. But I can send you that scheduling. We'd love to have you and whoever else can come get a great tour and a free lunch and get to hear from a family. And yeah, we'd love to have you guys.
All right. That'd be great. Thank you.
All right.
I hope you appreciated that conversation with Brittany, and I hope you looked into the Little Lighthouse and see, is there a way that you can be a part of what they're doing here for our neighbors in our community of Tulsa? Just one of the great things that we've been able to highlight here on the Tulsa Neighbor Podcast, and we look forward to bringing you some future episodes and some other great leaders and great organizations here in the city of Tulsa.